哦，是哦，但是它出发才早一点。嗯，可以。
Hello, welcome to our video. This video is brought to you by Dominator Dirt. Dominator Dirt is a group of enthusiasts based in China that loves everything in the dirt and about two wheels. So that includes dirt bikes, motocross, mountain bikes, Sur-rons, and just about everything else on two wheels in the dirt. So our first example of a pro is instant acceleration and torque. Let's take a look at an example of an electric bike and its amazing acceleration. So here's an example of a Surron Light Bee that has been modified to give a 13 kilowatt tune. And the Surron is racing two modern gas dirt bikes, a YZ250F and a KTM 125 SX. And as you can see, the Surron Light Bee held its own with both of the gas bikes, tying first place with the much more powerful, in terms of horsepower, YZ250F. That brings us to the next pro, which is that these electric bikes, are easier to ride fast and safe. One of the main reasons for that is because they do lack the clutch and gears, and therefore you can get down the straightaway by just turning the throttle, and you have constant acceleration without any gaps that shifting gears would create. Another pro is that these bikes have no noise, which means you can ride them almost anywhere. That might be one of the most important pros, as we are losing our riding areas as the world gets smaller. So this opens up the opportunity to have new riding venues that are very near to houses and very close to cities, and that's going to increase the amount of time that you can ride. And I can tell you personally, this is true. I am riding much more frequently with an electric bike because I can ride near to my home, and I'm riding much more often. But I will admit that the noise is half the fun, and I do miss the noise. Electric bikes are very low maintenance, but the downside is when they do fail, they are complex and expensive to repair. Another pro is because they are electric, they have very low emissions. On the con side, they are electric, and therefore battery manufacturing and disposal is not environmentally friendly at all. Another con is that typically the cost of getting into an electric bike is higher than getting into a similar gas bike. And then finally, you do have the disadvantage of waiting for a charge. And that means that you have to plan ahead and make sure that you're fully charged the day before or the evening before you plan to do a ride. Now that we've told you why we like electric, let's take this video back to talking about the Surron Ultra Bee. What exactly is this bike? Is it a motocross bike? Is it a dual sport bike? Is it something in between? Let's look at the Surron lineup and try to get an understanding of exactly what the Ultra Bee is. Let's take a look at the Surron product lineup. Surron offers three bikes: the Light Bee, the Ultra Bee, and the Storm Bee. The Ultra Bee falls right in between the Storm Bee and the Light Bee. The Storm Bee is Surron's attempt to make a full-size electric dirt bike. The Light Bee was an extremely innovative new product which Surron introduced, which was somewhere between a mountain bike and a dirt bike. The Light Bee has become extremely popular and a favorite of modifiers. I personally have a modified Light Bee, which utilizes the BAC 8000 controller and a 72-volt battery. And we'll talk more about the performance of these modified bikes and compare them across all four of the bikes. Now let's look at the power of the bikes. The Light Bee X, these are the new numbers for the 2023 Light Bee according to some of the websites that I've seen. So these numbers are a little higher than what I'm used to seeing for the Light Bee. But the new numbers are 8 horsepower and an incredible 184 foot-pounds of torque. Then I took the torque to weight ratio just as a way of doing a comparison, and we get a torque to weight ratio of 1.5. Now let's look at the modified BAC 8000. So this is a monster. This is actually the winner in terms of the torque to weight ratio with an incredible 3.9 foot-pounds of torque per pound of bike. The Ultra Bee comes in at a respectable 17 horsepower and 325 foot-pounds, and then the Storm Bee comes in at 30 horsepower and 383 foot-pounds, but that 30 horsepower is only in turbo mode and you can only use that in short bursts. Looking at the torque to weight ratio, we can see that the Storm Bee actually is the lowest at 1.4. The Ultra Bee is respectable at 1.75, and again, the modified Surron Light Bee with the BAC 8000 is the clear winner at 4.9. How this translates in terms of the feeling, the ride feeling, is that the BAC 8000 bike is truly a monster to ride. It's similar to riding a modern 450 or an old 500cc two-stroke motocross bike where basically the bikes just wanted to rip your arms out of your body. Range is the next question that I get asked most frequently when someone stops me and asks about my electric bike. They always want to know how long and how far can the bike go. The answer that I give them is that quite often I run out of gas before the bike runs out of gas. But let's take a look at the numbers. The Light Bee currently with the 2023 version has a 60 volt 38 amp hour battery, and they're claiming a range of 47 miles, and that's in the economy mode. The BAC 8000 has a 72 volt 42 amp hour battery, and that gives you approximately 62 miles. The Ultra Bee, a 72 volt 55 amp hour battery, and that seems to be the winner at 87 miles. And then the Storm Bee with 104 volts, it only gives you 75 miles, and part of that is because of the Storm Bee's much higher weight. So looking at the four bikes, it does appear that the Ultra Bee comes out as the winner in terms of the range and the duration of riding. Finally, let's take a look at suspension and wheels. I'm going to say that the Ultra Bee wins in the area of suspension and wheels in that they offer a very respectable 240 millimeters of travel both front and rear, and the combination of lightweight and suitable suspension makes for a very capable ride. Looking at the other bikes, the Storm Bee does have the beefiest suspension at 290 millimeters front and rear, and a full-size 21 by 18 inch wheel, which is the same as most modern MX bikes. But I have to say that the Storm Bee, with its much higher weight, just doesn't feel as capable from a suspension standpoint as the Ultra Bee. The Light Bee is really more like a mountain bike in terms of its suspension with 200 millimeter forks. I would say that the stock suspension is quite suitable for trail riding and even enduro riding. But when you take it on a motocross track, unfortunately, that's where the Light Bee just cannot keep up with the larger bikes. Then if you turn around and modify the Light Bee and give it the incredible power of the BAC 8000, Basically, the suspension becomes dangerous. The bike has enough power that it's moving around the track as fast as a modern 250, and it's tackling jumps and other obstacles that are meant for a full-size MX bike. But even with the top-of-the-line Fox air forks, I can tell you that the modified bikes just are not capable in the suspension department, and quite frankly, I think it starts to get a little bit dangerous with the extreme speeds and the extreme distances that you can jump with that type of power. So I'm feeling like the Ultra Bee comes out as the clear winner here in terms of a platform to build on with a relatively low weight and very capable suspension system. I think the Ultra Bee is going to be the bike that can be modified and can be turned into a really capable bike on the MX track. Now let's take a look at a few more photographs of the Ultra Bee and talk about some of the unique features of this bike. First off, the battery is much larger on this bike than on the Light Bee. You can see that the battery compartment and how it fits into the frame allows for a much larger battery. This is a second generation bike for Sur-ron, so everything just looks a little bit better. You can see the battery connectors on this battery are actually quite high quality. Moving on to the brakes, you can also see that the brakes are much beefier on the Ultra Bee than on the Sur-ron, and I can tell you that the braking performance on this bike is quite good. I do feel that the Light Bee brakes are one of the weakest areas of the bike once you start getting into more aggressive riding, and the testing showed that the Ultra Bee brakes do work quite well on the motocross track. Another nice feature of the Ultra Bee is that it does come with a built-in storage area, something that is quite frustrating on the Light Bee, where there's almost no space anywhere on the bike to store anything. You can see that by removing the seat cover, you get a relatively large storage area where you could put a bottle of water, and you can carry the Ultra Bee's charger right along with you. And finally, the Ultra Bee does carry some sophisticated additional systems, such as the ABS braking system, which you can see pictured here, and it has quite a sophisticated cockpit, allowing you to have multiple driving modes for sport and economy, as well as controlling the ABS and other features of the bike. So this brings us to the conclusion of our video. What I'd like to do is quickly go through the differences between the Light Bee and the Ultra Bee, and why we think the Ultra Bee is definitely worth the extra money versus the Light Bee. First off, this bike comes with headlights, taillights, so it begins to look like it might be street legal depending on the regulations in your area. Second, it is bigger. One of the complaints about the Light Bee is that the bike is really a very small bike, and unless you're a smaller, lighter rider, then the Light Bee is going to be physically a little too small for you. This bike solves that problem. It's bigger, and it's big enough that it can even fit 2 riders. It does have the extra set of foot pegs. It has a full-size motocross seat, and that is fantastic, both in terms of comfort, but also in terms of just rider position on the motocross track. It has a much better suspension system, so in stock form, it's already good enough for a motocross track. It does have more power, but this is going to be one of the areas that we're going to be looking for mods to be coming out. It can fit wider tires. This is one of the most important changes between the Ultra Bee and the Light Bee. The challenge with the Light Bee is that the swing arm and the chain position just does not allow a wide tire to be put on the back of the bike. The Ultra Bee solves this problem, and you will be able to upgrade to much larger rear tires. Uh, as we talked, the bigger battery, the better brakes, the extra storage, the ABS system, all of these extra features are all positives and make the Ultra Bee worth spending a little extra money versus the Light Bee.
哦，是哦，但是它出发才早一点。
I hope you enjoyed this video. This video was brought to you by Dominator Dirt, straight from China. Dominator Dirt will be bringing you more inside content straight from the factories and ahead of the rest of the industry. Coming soon will also be Dominator Dirt modification packages. We are very excited about the Sur-ron Ultra Bee because if you like the idea of a low-cost, capable stock bike that can be modified into a monster, then the Ultra Bee is a great platform to begin upgrading and building your dream electric motocross bike. And Dominator Dirt hopes to make this possible for you. Please subscribe for more information coming soon.